My roommate, who is clearly a straight guy, has been clingy to me. He tucks me in, accompanies me to class, and even washes my socks. He's like a perfect boyfriend. When the atmosphere between us reached its peak, I was contemplating confessing my feelings, but then I overheard him coldly telling a guy from our department, "I don't like you, and I'm not gay. By the way, I have a game later. Remember to come watch me." Waylon strode over and put his arm around my shoulder, rubbing against me like a little puppy. I was busy working on a PPT and absent-mindedly patted his head. "Okay, go ahead and get ready. I'll come over with the dorm leader in a bit." Another roommate, Jackson, started complaining. "Waylon didn't invite us, just his girlfriend. If we go, we'll be third wheels." He tugged on the dorm leader, hinting for him to say something. The dorm leader adjusted his glasses and said, "That's right." Waylon turned to follow up on their words. "Yes, I only invited my wife. You two don't come?" Jackson was stunned for a moment and then shouted, "Get lost." But Waylon didn't leave. He grabbed a stool and sat down next to me, lingering. "Why aren't you leaving?" I glanced over and saw Waylon staring intently at me. "What's up? Do I have something on my face?" Waylon's intense gaze softened into a look of a sad little puppy. "You have to come? Go get ready. I'll be there after finishing up here." Waylon's expression grew even more forlorn. "You said the same thing last time." The last time Waylon had a game, I promised to go, but an emergency meeting came up, so I couldn't make it. When I got back, Waylon was clearly upset. I found out from the dorm leader that he had carried the game, but not only didn't see me in the stands but also got surrounded by a group of both guys and girls for a long time afterward. In the end, it was the dorm leader and others who helped him get back. Just thinking about Waylon's sour face back then made me laugh. Waylon came back later than the dorm leader and, upon seeing me laughing so hard, immediately confronted me. "Eli, I played so hard today, and you didn't even show up." In the middle of his rant, Waylon pinched my arm lightly. "How can you space out while talking to me? Which little enchantress are you thinking about?" I checked the time. "Okay, hurry up. We'll really be late if we don't go now." Waylon kept looking back. "You must come. Waylon and I just met this semester. Due to the school having too much funding, the dorms were renovated, and the remaining students were grouped together. The dorm where I, the dorm leader, and Jackson were placed all belong to the same major. While Waylon is from the finance department next door, Waylon is rumored to have many friends but usually keeps to himself. But from my experience, he's not like that at all. Waylon is very possessive, always sticking to me, eating together, going to classes together, and even sharing the same bed in the dorm. At first, I thought Waylon might be like this with everyone. When I told Jackson about it, his shock was as if he had seen the apocalypse. Waylon can't share a bed with someone. Doesn't he have a cleanliness obsession? I remember last time I accidentally sat on Waylon's bed, and he pulled off the sheets right in front of me and changed them. Boo-hoo, he really doesn't care about losing me. Seeing Jackson's heartbroken look, I didn't have the heart to tell him that Waylon even insisted on washing my socks. I closed my laptop and grabbed a bottle of mineral water from under the desk. Walking with my roommates to the playground. The game had already started. I sat in the viewing area, watching as Waylon's eyes kept darting towards me. The girls next to me started squealing. Was Waylon looking at me just now? He's so handsome. Oh my God. Waylon's gaze finally locked onto me, and he flashed another smile. The row of girls around me screamed to the point of losing their voices. I shook my head and smiled. Still so noticeable. In the second half, Waylon was controlling the pace of the game, and the opposing team's key players were baffled. Wait, what does it mean when he dribbles the ball through thin air? Yes, Waylon was indeed overperforming this time. It was as if he was a lovesick fool, trying to attract his crush's attention. After the game, I headed towards their resting area. I handed him the water. "Hey, did you enjoy the spotlight?" Waylon downed half the bottle in one go and looked up. "How's it? Am I handsome?" I answered honestly, "Yes, you are. Look at all the girls' eyes on you." As soon as Waylon heard that, his tone turned cold. I saw you chatting with the girl next to you. The last few words were said through gritted teeth. That girl just wanted my contact details. Before I could finish, Waylon shouted, "You gave her your contact details." His tone turned slightly aggrieved. "We agreed not to date in college. You actually gave a girl your wicket behind my back." Eli, I'm angry. I'm really angry. I've decided. I'm not washing your socks today. I looked up and saw Waylon was on the edge of anger. But she came to ask for Jackson's contact details. The next moment, Waylon's face immediately relaxed, and he took my hand. In that case, let's go eat." His tone was so calm, it was as if he wasn't just about to get angry. Seeing Waylon holding my hand, I suddenly thought of something and couldn't help but smile. After washing up, I climbed into bed with my phone first. Waylon, coming out of the bathroom with a towel around his head, saw me sitting on the bed and casually said, "Save a spot for me." Jackson, who was sitting beside the dorm leader playing a game, overheard and started acting up. He grabbed the dorm leader's hand and batted his eyelashes. "Darling, save me a spot later." His tone was flirtatious and gave me goosebumps. The dorm leader, Roman, paused his game and replied, "That's what you said. Don't complain if the bed turns out to be too small." Waylon, having heard this, turned to Roman. "Dorm leader, make sure to deal with him later." Jackson began to make strange noises again. Waylon quickly dried his hair and clambered into bed. "Do you have class tomorrow morning?" While I hugged my laptop and looked over materials, I replied, "No class tomorrow morning." Waylon burrowed under the covers and moved his head close. "Then will you come to class with me tomorrow?" I glanced at the remaining group work. I might not be able to make it. Waylon looked at my remaining PPT with a forlorn expression. "I said I'd help you, but you didn't let me." "You still have the nerve to say that? Do you remember what you wrote on my last assignment?" Mentioning this, Waylon fell silent, looking guilty. "Last time, when it was my turn for the group assignment, I only needed to fix a few bugs, but Waylon insisted I go shopping with him. So he took over the final check." I actually think Waylon is quite competent. When I presented, every slide in the center had a series of lowered brightness words. "Milky-skinned Eli." Eli loved by everyone. "Serenheo Eli." That day, every minute on stage felt like torture. Since then, everyone who meets me says, "Hey, milky-skinned Eli." Waylon started to defend himself. "That was my own watermark. I used my computer that day and didn't think much about it. It would have been better if he hadn't explained." "You even made it a watermark." No wonder Waylon's classmates would smile mysteriously when they saw me. I lifted my foot and stomped on Waylon's limited edition sneakers, saying coldly, "You have 3 seconds to get off the bed, or don't blame me for being rude." Waylon quickly grabbed my ankle. "On this long night, if I'm off, who will take care of me?" He said this with a grin and snuggled closer. Jackson, cramped up in a bed with the dorm leader, added, "Waylon, you really resemble an ancient eunuch. In modern times, you'd definitely be a devoted admirer." I couldn't help but laugh. "You know, you're right," Waylon responded. "It's just our little fun. You wouldn't understand." Jackson cried out, "Oh, Roman, stay away from me. Don't breathe on my ear." Waylon had an early class, so he left before I woke up. "Eli, remember to come find me at noon." I pushed his head away and mumbled sleepily, "MMM." After Waylon left, I woke up around 10 a.m. After getting up and washing, I noticed that Jackson and the dorm leader were sitting far apart. "What's up with these two? Did they have a falling out after a nap?" Jackson sighed in relief when he saw me washed up. "Eli, let's go eat together later." "Sure, but we need to wait for Waylon." Jackson quickly nodded. I opened my laptop to finish up my work and saw Roman moving his stool closer to Jackson. Jackson immediately climbed onto the bed. "What's going on with these two?" At 11:30, Jackson and I walked towards the school gate. I pointed to the direction of the teaching building. "Why don't you wait by the school gate first? I'll go find Waylon." Jackson grabbed my sleeve. "Let's go together. We're not saving much time anyway." It seemed like he really didn't want to be alone with Roman. I glanced at Roman, signaling to him to explain what was going on between them. Roman looked down. I patted Jackson on the shoulder. "I'll go alone. You stay with the dorm leader. Jackson grumbled. He's an adult. What does he need accompanying for? We can go together. I pointed to Roman. He hurt his leg yesterday. It's better if he walks less. Roman nodded calmly, not showing any sign of discomfort or heart rate increase. Jackson exploded. You hurt your leg. Who are you kidding? You were? Hey, Eli. I slipped away quietly, while Jackson was bombarding Roman with questions. It seems like something's up between the dorm leader and Jackson. They need some space. I kept my hands behind my back, hiding my skills. When I reached the building where Waylon was, I saw him walking with another guy towards the stairwell. I followed and was about to call out to him when I heard the guy confessing, Waylon, I like you. Will you consider me? My fingers involuntarily traced the black spots on the white wall. After a moment, Waylon's cold voice came through. Sorry, I don't like guys. I'm not gay. The guy's face turned ashen. I felt as if my heart was doused with ice water. I squeezed my hands, feeling the cold sweat in my palms. Amidst the deep sadness, sudden relief and embarrassment surged to my head. I had been contemplating how to confess to Waylon just days ago, only to find out he's not gay, and from his rejection, he might even be homophobic. If I had really confessed, I'd probably end up without even a friend. As I was about to turn and leave, Waylon spotted me looking around. Eli, I've been looking everywhere for you. Wait for me. Hearing this made me quicken my pace. Waylon, with his longer legs, caught up in a few strides and wrapped his arm around my waist. Why are you walking so fast? I looked up at him, hesitant to speak. Waylon, feeling uneasy under my gaze, asked, What's wrong? Did you just hear what that guy said? Waylon immediately looked flustered and panicked. Hey, listen, I'm not close with that person. I've only exchanged assignments with him a few times. Really, you and I are the best team. I don't know why he's suddenly. Gay people, they're so gross. You should stay away from them. If you ever meet someone like that, come to me immediately. I'll take care of it. I turned and coldly stared at him, shaking off his arm and stepping hard on Waylon's limited edition sneakers. During dinner, the atmosphere was strangely oppressive. Back in the dorm, Jackson, lounging in a chair, glanced at me and yelled, Waylon, how did someone step on your shoes? Aren't they your life? Someone stepped on your life. Both the dorm leader and I looked over. I cleared my throat and turned away. Waylon's shoes, which were clean before he left, now had a black footprint on them. Jackson crouched down, examining the mark. From the pressure of this footprint, Waylon, did you owe the person money? He then clicked his tongue. Hey, it's more likely they owe you money. Waylon gave Jackson a light kick. Jackson fell backward dramatically. The dorm leader, Roman, pulled Jackson up by the back of his neck. Jackson hugged Roman. Darling, someone kicked me. Avenge me. Roman pushed his glasses up and only responded with a single word. I couldn't tell if it was in response to being called darling or agreeing to avenge Jackson. Waylon kept staring at me, making me too uncomfortable to look up, and I couldn't figure out what had suddenly changed between those two. Waylon also looked at the footprint on his shoes and couldn't help but laugh. You guys don't get it. Jackson looked left and right. So this is just part of your little couple's game. Jackson clutched his heart, leaning into Roman's embrace. I'm just a pawn in your play. Waylon doesn't love me anymore, and Eli doesn't care about my fate. Seeing the mood lighten, Waylon slowly moved towards me. What's wrong with you today? I paused while organizing my books. Nothing. I was probably just too hungry earlier. Waylon had a look of understanding. Are you still hungry? I stocked up on a lot of your favorites. I shook my head. I'm not hungry. Waylon leaned in with a mysterious look on his face. Is it because you didn't enjoy stepping on shoes outside just now? I have many limited edition pairs. Should I put on a few more and let you step on them too? I looked up, surprised. Hey, are you a freak or something? The strange Waylon sadly went to take a shower. I quickly finished my grooming and climbed up to the top bunk to lie down. After hearing Waylon's straight talk in the afternoon, I still couldn't help but feel a flutter when he got close to me. I really feared the effects of hormones. I might uncontrollably do some unpredictable things, but I could definitely sense Waylon's double standards. Should I test it again? maybe fight for myself a bit more. Well, Waylon came back from his shower. He leaned over the edge of my bed, towel drying his hair while looking at me. He started talking again. You've left my bed unoccupied. Just wait, I'll go wash your socks. I thought to myself, so the missing socks were actually hidden away by Waylon for a secret wash. When Waylon came back up, I had already prepared what I wanted to say. I turned Waylon's shoulders so he faced me. I have a few questions for you. Answer honestly. Waylon nodded, and in a teasing tone, said, I've loved only you. I punched his shoulder. Be serious. He pretended to moan in pain and grabbed my hand. Don't hurt me. I cleared my throat. What do you think about homosexuality? As soon as the question left my lips, Waylon's intense gaze was fixed on me, as if he could see through everything. The seconds of waiting almost made me break into a cold sweat. Waylon furrowed his brows. Hey, who told you these things? Is it that person from today? Before I could respond, he cut me off. Did that person come to confess his feelings to you? Stay away from him in the future. The likelihood of contracting diseases is high among homosexuals. I've heard that to men being intimate is really disgusting. Do you get it? And considering your small arms and legs, do you think you can handle it? Personal attack. I gritted my teeth and grabbed Waylon by the collar of his pajamas. Get out! I swung a punch at Waylon's face, but he quickly dodged. Damn it! Are you trying to murder me? Unable to tolerate it any longer, I began hitting Waylon repeatedly. Waylon didn't dare fight back. The top bunk was too small, and he couldn't dodge many of the punches, so he had to endure them. Take it easy. Don't hurt your hand. Jackson, who was in the other bed, spoke up. Domestic violence again. If Waylon isn't beaten at least 7 times a week, I think he's been possessed. Roman patted Jackson's shoulder. Yeah, go to sleep. Since last night, I started to consciously distance myself from Waylon, but it seemed to be harder than expected. He seemed to be sticking to me more and more closely, and the situation was getting worse. In the past, we weren't in the same classroom, so we would just agree on where to meet. Waylon would always secretly wait by the classroom door after class. Every time I stepped out, he was there, even on weekends. When I wanted to go out and play basketball, he followed me. Don't you have your own things to do? Waylon replied, your matters are my matters too. Playing basketball is my specialty. I'll teach you. As for the tuition, why don't you use your body as payment? Still thinking about tuition fees? Dream on. Finally, when Waylon was in a meeting, I thought about going out to clear my mind. I was informed by my mom that Joe, the neighbor's older brother from my childhood, would be back in the country for a few days, so the role of tour guide fell on me. I quickly got ready and left. Due to traffic, I arrived half an hour late. Sorry, there was a lot of traffic today. The boy in front of me looked exactly like Joe from my memory. It's okay. Thank you for coming. It's the weekend. You should be resting in your dorm. I took Joe around the arcade near the university town. Although I was a bit perfunctory, Joe seemed quite happy. After not seeing each other for a long time, we were a bit awkward at first, but once we started playing games, the old understanding between us came back. Joe took off his headphones. Xiao Rao's skills are still great. After a few rounds, I got really into it. Joe, you're amazing. Let's add each other on Wicket and play Honor of Kings together. Before heading back to the dorm, I exchanged contact information with Joe. He said he'd be around for a few months, and that we could hang out again if there was time. When I got back to the dorm, Waylon hadn't returned yet. I grabbed my meal card and headed to the cafeteria. Little did I know, Waylon was about to explode over there. As I was heading back to the dorm with my food, I was grabbed by the hand at the corner of the stairs. Waylon, you're done with your meeting. Waylon sneered. If I don't finish now, you'll end up running off with someone else. What are you talking about? I tried to pull my hand away, but Waylon's grip tightened. My wrist hurt a lot. I said coldly, Waylon, what's wrong with you? Waylon suddenly came to his senses and relaxed his grip, but still held on. Sorry, I yanked my hand free. If you're going to have a meltdown, do it somewhere else. Waylon's usual arrogant gaze softened, and he spoke with a tone of grievance. Today, Our department students saw you with a guy at the arcade, and you looked really happy. The news spread so fast. I ignored Waylon and walked into the dorm with my food. After descending the last flight of stairs, Jackson and the dorm leader hadn't returned yet. I picked up my chopsticks and was about to eat when Waylon snatched the food box away. He put his arm around my shoulders. "Let's talk." I pushed his hand away. "Talk about what? What's there to talk about?" I wanted to use this opportunity to anger him, hoping that by distancing ourselves, my hidden feelings might fade, but I underestimated Waylon's tolerance for me. "Did you go out with a guy today?" "Yeah, we went to the arcade and had a great time." Unexpectedly, Waylon jumped up abruptly, his voice urgent and his eyes reddening. How could you?" I looked at him defiantly. "How could I?" Waylon paced back and forth, seemingly at a loss. "You've never been to the arcade with me, and you didn't even wait for me to have a meal today?" I was determined to distance myself from Waylon. I let hurtful words slip out. "We're adults. Who I hang out with is none of your business." I snatched the food box, opened my computer, and put on my headphones, showing with my actions that I wasn't interested in talking with him. The music in my headphones was loud, and I didn't know when Waylon left. Looking at the remaining food, I suddenly felt it was tasteless. I also felt like I was being self-destructive, pushing Waylon away when he was always around, and now feeling reluctant when he was finally gone. I flopped onto the lounge chair. Even if I'm reluctant, I have to let go. I can't just bend someone's sexuality, can I? What a mess. Jackson and the dorm leader had been back for a while, and Waylon still hadn't shown up. Damn it, why am I still thinking about Waylon even now? I thought to myself with a blank expression, blaming Waylon's excessive presence. Jackson watched a short video and started acting. "Mom, I love him. He made me porridge, and this is what I call feeling at home. Hey, I only feel suffocated in this home." He mimicked a few classic exaggerated gestures. After some more banter, he gazed at Roman with deep affection. "Ozzy, my mom doesn't want us together. Let's elope." Saying this, he jumped into Roman's arms. I stood there dumbfounded. A classmate who was delivering documents also looked shocked. "Hey, Jackson, are you with the dorm leader? Why didn't you tell us about this great news?" Jackson immediately jumped out of Roman's arms. "What do you mean? We're together? And what great news?" The classmate pointed around. "Aren't you two together? You're always hugging and kissing. Isn't that something a straight guy would do? And everyone in our class knows about you too. You're so obvious. With the dorm leader keeping an eye on you, we're reassured." Jackson made a big X with his hands in front of him. "Hey, us straight guys are like this. Real straight guys aren't afraid of bending, so they can be fearless." The classmate was stunned by this statement. "Really?" Jackson nodded firmly. "Absolutely." The classmate, still holding the documents and with a distorted sense of reality, left the room. I looked at the dorm leader with a complicated expression. "Jackson, are you sure the dorm leader is straight?" Jackson, tired from his performance, took a sip of water. "Where's Waylon? Why hasn't he come back for so long?" Jackson's question was directed at me. "I don't know either." "What do you mean? You don't know? Doesn't Waylon always inform you where he's going?" I frowned. "When did he ever report where he's going?" Jackson counted on his fingers. "Last time, when he went out to get a card, and the time you were sick, he even woke you up to buy medicine, and you ended up punching him in your grogginess, although it's not often. Most of the time you two are together." Jackson then started grinning mischievously. The next moment, the dorm door was pushed open. "Hey, Waylon, why are you only back now?" "Damn." I looked behind Jackson. Waylon came in with a bunch of bags. The security guard said outsiders can't come in, so I had to carry everything up myself. Jackson hurried over to help unload. Waylon scratched his head. "Waylon, why did you buy so much food?" Waylon stared straight at me. "Tonight's supper." Jackson smiled knowingly and began making exaggerated gestures. "Sir, it's all thanks to Rauga." He leaned in. "Rauga, I was wrong today. Please don't be mad." From a distance, I saw Jackson perk up his ears. I gave Waylon an out. "Kev, I'm not angry." Waylon's eyes lit up instantly. "Then we're still the best of friends." I moved my mouth, but didn't refuse Waylon's face saving. Jackson had also caught on to most of the situation. "Damn, Waylon, You really made Eli angry and bought so much stuff? Waylon, you really care too much. He opened a bag of chips and continued. When are you announcing it? I'll give you a super big red envelope. I saw Waylon's face change color due to Jackson's words. I felt my heart swell, and I spoke before Waylon could. Jackson, don't say nonsense. My voice was a bit loud. Jackson, with his mouth full, turned his head in surprise. Eli, why are you so worked up? I was just joking. Waylon's frown deepened. A joke? Jackson mumbled. Yeah, we're all straight guys. It's not like we're bending just by joking. Besides, we often joke like this. His words also made the dorm leader's face darken. He pulled Jackson aside and picked up a hamburger. Eat your food and stop talking. In the following days, I kept a reasonable distance from Waylon. I also felt much more relaxed, but Waylon seemed to be growing increasingly irritable. Today, I turned down his invitation to attend class together again. In the afternoon, I invited Joe to an internet cafe to relax and play some ranked games. In the second match, I encountered a very familiar id. Sure enough, it was Waylon. I frowned. Waylon probably recognized me too, but he didn't say anything. I thought this match would go smoothly. Unexpectedly, Waylon, the opposing jungler, managed to solo kill Joe's lane while Joe was farming. After that, every time Joe encountered Waylon, he would give up a kill. Our teammates couldn't help but comment, "Bro, did you piss off their jungler or something? He's targeting you hard." Joe didn't know why either. Teammates knew his skills were good, but Waylon's jungler was too powerful. When our crystal was destroyed, I exited the game in frustration. Before I could send a message, Waylon sent one. "I'm sorry." It was only 3 words, but I could sense that he meant, "I know I'm wrong, but I won't change." I couldn't help but smirk, feeling the arrogance. Joe leaned in, apologetically smiling. "Sorry, I didn't manage to help you rank up and actually lost a rank." Waylon sent several more messages in the chat, and I turned off the screen. It's okay. No stars were lost this game. When I got back to the dorm, I turned on the light in the dark. The next second, Waylon was sitting upright in a chair. I was startled. Waylon's face showed a fleeting smile but quickly disappeared. Waylon seemed to remember something. "I told you to stay away from that guy. Why didn't you listen?" He began pacing back and forth. "I've said it before. That kind of homosexual is unclean." "What if there are viruses?" I interrupted. "Don't worry. I'll stay away from you. Even if I'm sick, I won't pass it on to you." Waylon panicked. "Hey, that's not what I meant." I calmed down and looked at him coolly. "Waylon, I'm the disgusting homosexual you've been talking about." Waylon stood there stunned. I sighed. We had finally reached this point. Waylon seemed dazed and remained silent. When Jackson and the others came back, they frowned on the spot. He whispered to Roman, "The atmosphere feels off." Roman looked up, understanding, and patted Jackson's head. "Be careful." That night, Waylon unusually went straight to his bed after showering. I lay in bed, forcing a smile. Waylon must think I'm really disgusting after learning the truth. Well, that's fine. Everyone should live their own life. Waylon probably finds me too disgusting to want to be friends with me anymore. As I expected, Waylon no longer stuck to me all the time. Even basic conversations in the dorm were gone. When our eyes met accidentally, Waylon would turn away awkwardly. Even the oblivious Jackson noticed something was off, but didn't ask me directly what happened. The dorm no longer had the usual silly atmosphere. All 4 of us were silent. In a few days, it would be National Day. My mom gave me 2 tickets to a hot spring resort, telling me to relax. It was oddly well-timed, this so-called relaxation. "Jackson, do you have plans for National Day? If not, you can come to the hot springs with me." I already have plans with Lugo. "Why don't you ask Waylon?" Jackson pointed at Waylon, who was just coming out of the bathroom. I quickly cleared my throat and changed the topic. "No way. Waylon has been completely ignoring me ever since he found out I'm gay. Asking him to go to the hot springs now would be humiliating." In the end, I settled on Joe. Hopefully, he can help me rank up in the hot springs. National Day had few classes, so it wouldn't take much to prepare for a few days. When I dragged my suitcase out from under the bed, I saw Waylon typing on his phone. His face flushed. After noticing my gaze, he quickly looked away and walked towards the door. It was hard not to feel a pang of sadness, but more than that, I wanted to punch this guy. Even when he sees me, he has to avoid me. Waylon, you're something else. I expressionlessly packed my clothes and took a cab to the airport. When I arrived, I took out my phone to take some pictures. Yujo saw and asked, "Xiaorao, what are you taking pictures of?" I put down my phone and grinned. I love taking photos and posting them on social media wherever I go. I raised an eyebrow. Yujo, perfect. Let's take a picture together, so I don't have to take one myself. Half dazed, after taking a photo with Yujo, I was about to post it on Moments when I accidentally blocked Waylon. Damn it, live with your male chauvinism for the rest of your life. Jackson, who was in the dorm, saw my moments and suddenly understood. No wonder Eli asked me about plans for National Day. Turns out, he went to soak in hot springs. Waylon frowned. What moments? Didn't you see? Eli just posted it. Waylon's frown deepened. I can't see his moments. And why did he ask you and not me? Jackson stared blankly for a few seconds before bursting into laughter. Waylon, don't tell me you've been blocked. Ha. Seeing Waylon's face gradually darkening, Jackson's laughter started to fade, and he began to make excuses. Maybe it was a slip of the hand. Ha. Waylon snatched Jackson's phone and saw a photo of Yujo and me with the caption, "Going to soak in hot springs." Waylon's teeth were clenched tightly. You too. Where are you going for National Day? Roman, flipping through a magazine, replied, "We're planning to go out and have fun, but we haven't decided where yet." Waylon had already started booking plane tickets for 3 people. Get ready to go soak in hot springs. I'll cover all the expenses. Jackson jumped up happily. Woohoo. Waylon, you're awesome. After entering the room, I called my mom to let her know I had safely arrived at the hotel. My mom surprised me with, "Eli, I think Joe is a great person and someone we know well. Since you haven't seen each other for so long, you should spend more time together and build your relationship." I genuinely didn't expect my mom to have this in mind. "Mom, I'm not looking to date right now." "Not looking to date? When are you going to think about it? Your 20s are the best time to enjoy relationships. By the time you're in your 70s or 80s, it'll be too late to enjoy it." Ever since I came out, I feel like my mom has become more open-minded. I wonder if my dad can handle all of this. "Mom, don't worry about me. I'm not bad-looking. I'm not going to be single forever. So just relax." After a few more words, my mom finally hung up. Satisfied, I got my bathing clothes ready, checked the time, and it was almost time for the hot springs to open. After changing into my bathing trunks, I went out to find Yujo. Just outside the room, I ran into a familiar group of people. Jackson was almost jumping and waving. "Eli, over here." I looked over from a distance size. 3 people, neither one more nor less. I walked over and asked, "Aren't you supposed to be going with the dorm leader?" Jackson blurted out without thinking, "Thanks to." "What?" Waylon elbowed Jackson, who then looked around and said, I was planning to go with Lou Dog to the hot springs, but since you're here too, we can go together." Seeing Jackson's awkward expression, I said nothing more and pointed at Waylon. "You're bringing a single dog along to the hot springs." Waylon ground his teeth. "That won't be the case for long." Jackson, trying to lighten the mood, "Well, it's kind of sad to leave Waylon alone in the dorm, so we just decided to come together." I nodded. "All right, I'll go ahead. Someone's waiting for me." I turned to find Yujo. I didn't notice the intense gaze burning into my back. Yujo chose the carbonated hot spring, while I went for the sulfur spring. There was only a woven curtain separating the 2 springs. As soon as I entered the pool, Jackson arrived too. "Hey, Eli, you're also here for the sulfur spring?" I shifted slightly to the side, signaling Jackson to join me. Jackson moved closer, and I glanced at the next pool where 2 figures were faintly seen entering. "Gossiping by nature," I whispered. "What happened between you and the dorm leader that day?" Jackson seemed to be processing. "What day?" You mean that day? Speaking of which, even the usually thick-skinned Jackson couldn't help but blush. That day, when you be a whale on, Lou Dog not only breathed into my ear, but also. I pressed on, also what? Jackson glanced at the next pool, then whispered. He got really close, and well, he did something, and then that dog asked me to do something for him. It was really shameless. I was stunned. I hadn't expected the usually calm and composed dorm leader to be so unexpected. Jackson seemed to find his footing. We've known each other since childhood. I didn't expect that I wanted to be like a father to him, and he wanted me to do that. I nodded in understanding. So that's why you avoided the dorm leader so much that day, Jackson proudly said. Of course, I'm a straight guy. How could I just switch sides? So, how did you make up afterward? Jackson scratched his head. Lou Dog said it was a normal physiological reaction for guys, and since we're both straight guys, it's normal to have those kinds of interactions. I looked at him with mixed feelings. So you believed it? Yeah, I didn't believe it at first, but seeing you and wail on like that, I thought it was pretty normal too. Jackson's brain must be still functioning thanks to Roman. Seeing no reaction from the other side, I shouted, "You show want to play King of Glory?" Jackson eagerly added, "I want to join too." So what was supposed to be a duo turned into a five-man team. Predictably, this five-man team, which should have been smooth sailing, was played like a pile of trash. Fortunately, I had the foresight not to rank. After losing 5 games in a row, I stared at my phone expressionlessly. Not coming anymore. Throwing some rice on the phone. Even chickens play better than you guys. In sports, there is no friendship. Throughout the 5 games, 3 people argued over who would play jungle, constantly stealing kills. The ones who needed to farm didn't, while the ones who shouldn't were gaining experience. Several times, we missed opportunities to defend towers because of the kill stealing. The opponents remained silent. I even doubted if Waylon had knocked Tijo out with a punch. After the hot springs, I sweated profusely and planned to head back to the room for a shower. Halfway through my shower, I heard a knock on the door. I grabbed a towel and went to answer it, thinking it was Yujo, but it turned out to be Waylon. "You're here." Before I could finish, Waylon pushed past me and looked behind. Seeing there was no one else, he relaxed and then turned his gaze back to me, raising his voice. "You're answering the door like this." I looked at myself in shorts. It's normal. I just took a shower. Waylon seemed exasperated. What if someone else saw? I thought Waylon was acting strangely today. It's not like I'm a young girl. What's there to hide? As I went to close the door, Waylon stopped me. "Do you need something?" Waylon's expression flickered, his face reddening. "You said you're gay. So, am I in your considerations too?" What does that mean? A straight guy for 20 years suddenly turned gay. I forced a smile. "Sorry, I'm straight. I'm currently into girls." Waylon's face, which was rosy earlier, turned pale instantly. I pushed his hand away and slammed the door shut. After staying at the Hot Springs Hotel for 2 days, Yujo suddenly had something urgent and had to go back. When he left, I noticed Waylon smiling at the corner of his mouth, as if hoping he would leave sooner. Jackson suggested, "We've been here for 2 days. Why don't we go somewhere else? We still have 5 days left." I thought it was a good idea, but it was too late by the time we arrived, and most rooms were already booked. The last hotel had only 2 rooms left with big beds. I asked the front desk carefully, "Are there really no available rooms?" The receptionist smiled. "It's the peak tourist season. If you don't book now, even the big bedrooms might be gone soon." Waylon and Roman exchanged a knowing glance. With no other options, we booked the 2 rooms. Both rooms were on the same floor. I originally thought Jackson and I would be in the same room, but Jackson only stayed in my room for a bit before planning to leave. I quickly stopped him. "Wait, aren't you staying with me?" Jackson looked puzzled. "I'm in the room with Roman. He said he'd take me to play games tonight." "Hey, don't go. I can take you." Jackson looked me up and down. "You're worse than me. I should be the one taking you. You probably can't even handle it." I let go of him, took a deep breath. "If you're going to leave now, don't force me to take action. My name is Waylon, and I'm a sophomore in college. Recently, My school is undergoing renovations, and I've been assigned to a makeshift dorm room. The 3 people in the room are from different majors. I was the first to arrive and met a friendly guy named Jackson and another guy named Roman who seemed a bit aloof. They went to the campus convenience store, and I sat on the bed playing on my phone. See, the last roommate arrived. He was dragging a huge suitcase, and I initially thought he must be the second person to move in. I thought it was impressive how he managed such a heavy suitcase for such a small thing. When I saw him, it felt like time stopped. He was the most handsome person I'd ever seen. From head to toe, he seemed to be exactly to my taste. At that moment, I decided I wanted to be close friends with him. The best of friends. Things went exactly as I planned. Eli and I became best friends. We had almost no secrets from each other. We ate and lived together, inseparable. I rarely did chores at home, but I loved grabbing his dirty underwear and socks to wash. Every time I saw his flushed face, I felt a special joy. I thought our relationship would always be this good, until I noticed he started to distance himself from me, either intentionally or unintentionally. It was because he saw a guy confessing his feelings to me. I thought he must not like gays, so I blurted out, "Being gay is disgusting." But after I said that, Eli kicked me and forbade me from sleeping on his bed that night. A few days later, he was seen getting close to a guy. They went to the arcade together, something Eli had never done with me, and he didn't even wait for me to have lunch. I was very angry, extremely angry, feeling that Eli had betrayed our close friendship. But when I was about to confront him, my anger faded. Eli was so handsome. Of course, many guys and girls would be interested in him, so I had to keep a close eye on him. Today, Eli told me he likes guys. Honestly, I was shocked. How could Eli like guys? I thought no one, whether male or female, deserved him. But what if that guy was me? Since I had this thought, I couldn't look him in the eyes. Every time we made eye contact, my heart would race uncontrollably, and I would quickly look away. At night, I didn't dare sleep with Eli anymore, fearing I might lose control. I started searching online for, why does my heart race when I see a friend? What should I do if my heart races when I see a close friend? Why does my heart race when I see a same-sex friend? The answers were, don't think about it, friend. This is love. Love. Do I love Eli? I uncontrollably laughed, then looked up to see Eli, who had been dragging something by the bed, now looking directly at me. Hey! My heart started racing again. I covered my pounding heart and rushed out of the dorm. While I was spending a lot of time calming myself down, Eli blocked me on social media. He was at a hot spring with another guy. Absolutely no sense of security. I dragged Jackson and Roman to catch him in the act. Eventually, I caught up with Eli. I even demanded to meet his parents. Eli, unable to refuse me, took me to his home for the weekend. The moment I saw his mom, I understood why Eli's face seemed so superior. When I saw his mom, I immediately called her mom. She laughed so hard she could barely contain herself. However, Eli started shaking his fists and said he would deal with me. His dad was great too. We got along like buddies. If we weren't so different in age, I'd have called him my brother. If Eli heard me, he'd probably beat me up. We're getting married. I was so happy I couldn't sleep all night. After getting beaten up by Eli, I finally behaved myself. On the wedding day, I kneeled to propose to Eli. Throughout the whole thing, Jackson held a camera pointing at my face. Later, when Eli and I watched the video, Eli pointed at the recording and said I cried like a dog. What a true wife. And I forgot to mention, Jackson got taken in by Roman too. He totally deserved it. He finally met his match. What should we do for our wedding anniversary this year to make it special? I looked at the upcoming anniversary date with some distress. Then I suddenly realized we've been together for 5 years. Time flies by so quickly. If you lend me a single glance, I will repay you with countless ones. In the end, I wrote this in my diary. Waylon, come over here. I quickly closed the diary, stood up, and ran forward, just like countless times before, rushing towards him. I'm coming.